Well, you spoke the truth. It's a box, all right.
It's more than a box.
From here it looks like exactly a box.
I mean, that box is trying to tell me something.
If you say so. All I hear is the rustle of a gentle breeze wafting through cardboard. Quite soothing, really.
You're right. It is soothing.
I was kidding.
No, there's something about it.
Daria? What are you doing?
Yes, this is right.
Daria?
Daria, I remembered! You were right! I remembered I was 3 or 4 and it was nighttime and I woke up because Mom and Dad were fighting and then Dad was yelling and a door slammed and then I heard a car start up and he drove away.
Thank you. I knew I wasn't imagining it. Do you remember what they were fighting about?
Yeah. They were fighting about you.
Well, I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end.
Damn it, Helen, that's it! I go in there every day to face a psychotic boss, a job that makes me feel like a freaking slave, and then I have to come home and deal with this? How much am I supposed to take?
Jake, this isn't about you. It's about her. Having a little trouble fitting in.
She doesn't want to fit in, damn it! Why can't you admit that?
Jake, she's a child. She doesn't know any better.
That's what she wants you to believe!
Where are you going?
But what's she doing in there?
I don't know. She's been acting so strangely. I'd have called you, but by the time I got home and saw her, you were already in the air.
Oh, hi, Dad!
Quinn, do you have any idea why your sister is outside sitting in that ridiculous box?
Is she still out there? It's about that fight you two had.
Fight? What fight?
We didn't have any fight.
Back when we were kids, in the old house. You know, you had a big fight about Daria and then Dad stormed out. It was very traumatic. The scars are with me to this day. Do we have any diet soda?
When I was 6 years old, did you have a big fight about me?
No!
Yes.
Yes.
I'd forgotten all about it. Quinn reminded us.
Why were you fighting?
Daria, you have to understand. We kept getting calls from the school. You wouldn't talk to the other children. You wouldn't play with the other children. We knew how smart you were. Talking to you was like talking to a miniature adult. But you wouldn't engage with the other kids.
They didn't interest me.
That's what you said.
Your father was in a job he hated with a really sadistic boss.
Lousy mini Mussolini!
Jake!
Tense, Daria. I was very tense.
I was trying to resume a full-time workload and still raise 2 young girls. We were all tense. Your problems at school were sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. We had an argument. Your father stormed off, spent the night in a motel.
Crappy motel.
And the next day we made up and carried on.
So I caused a big marital rift.
Not a rift, Daria.
We had a fight one night and you happened to be the topic, not the cause. Daria?
Miss, are you all right? Miss! Miss!
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm not quite getting this. You ran off because of a fight your parents had 11 years ago?
It's not the fight. It's the sudden realization that all these years when I thought they were torturing me, in reality I was the one torturing them.
First of all, I don't think it's either or. From where I'm sitting, you and your folks have done a great job of torturing each other. And second of all, you mean to tell me you don't know when you're busting them?
Yes, I know when I'm busting them. What I didn't realize is what a pain I've been when I thought I was just being me.
Huh?
At age 6, I decide I don't need to talk to other kids ever again. My parents are the ones who get called into school. At 12, I decide to try out some Shakespearean insults on my teachers. My parents are the ones who get called into school. At 15, I start writing violent revenge fantasies just to get a reaction.
Your parents, etc., etc. Gotcha. But I never got the idea that they minded that much.
Yeah, which just makes it even worse.
You really need to discuss this with them.
I know, but first I had to talk to someone I could trust.
Oh, thank God! But Daria, why did you have to run away when you heard that story about getting called into school?
Yeah, we used to get called into school all the time.
Jake!
I mean, we were used to it.
Jake!
I mean,
Jake!
it was part of the deal. It was the other side to you being so smart and perceptive.
Oh,
What do you mean?
Daria, you can't have a child with your kind of intelligence and expect her to fit in easily with other kids. We weren't happy to be called into school because we knew it meant you weren't happy.
But we were never unhappy with you.
Oh, well, that's good. Do you think I'm a misfit?
Daria, you make your choices. We understand that.
Yeah, we do.
Choices?
Yes, you choose not to interact and we understand. It doesn't make you a misfit.
It just makes me antisocial. I'm gonna go to bed.
Good night.
Good night, kiddo.
I just want to say, it occurs to me that maybe I wasn't the easiest child in the world to raise. And, perhaps I'm quite lucky to have you for parents.
Now, somebodies, for all of you that have been watching us on the channel, thank you, number one. But I have mentioned at times when I talk about my wife and I having debates that turn into arguments, that turn into heated arguments, you never know with children what's going to stick. And with this clip, you saw that there was something that stuck with Daria that was connected to that box. And once she put all the pieces together, along with her sister Quinn's help, it all made sense. It jogged a memory, and it turned out to be a bad one. And it's something that finally came to the forefront, and she needed to know what was going on. I know this is tough for some married couples, where probably the only ways you know how to talk to one another is maybe to raise your voice, and maybe you get to yelling. I know with my wife, she's mentioned that she primarily grew up with a house full of women, with her mom, aunts, and grandma. And unfortunately, she saw that they would raise their voice when things were getting heated. And she developed this kind of way. But this is what it could lead to. You have to think about the kids. I've said it before. There's times where if I see that my wife and I are not going to handle an argument or have it get settled, then I don't want to continue it, mainly because I'm thinking about the kids, because I know they can hear, especially my oldest son. And I've talked about on the channel that I've seen not just arguments but worse. I've seen things that got physical with my mom, so I have that in my head, and I never want to repeat that with my kids. So my wife and I do the best we can, especially nowadays and over the years with our marriage, where if we feel it's not going to get settled, and maybe one of us, more, I think, I don't like to say this, but more so her, may get a little louder, we give ourselves the time. We take a break. No, we do the best. Because, again, with this clip, you don't know what your kids are going to have in their head. And hopefully it's not too many, because I'm sure at some point us kids, or the kids we have now, they could definitely benefit from some therapy, because we're kind of putting things that shouldn't be in there. And this is very important when it comes to parenting. Just know how to talk to one another, know how to communicate, but also know the limit before it crosses into that threshold that you really don't want to. When you're a parent, especially a caring parent, you really have to think about these things. It's not going to be about you anymore. If you can't settle this amicably and without raising your voice, just remember there's little ones in the house, whether you want to believe it or not, that can hear everything and probably remember most. So let's always be mindful, parents, that we do our best and definitely get it to the kids. It's always about them at the end of the day, because they're the ones that are gonna move forward with their lives and be adults. And let's make sure that if they do sit in the therapist chair, then we don't give them too many bad memories, and hopefully they remember their parents for more so good memories.
It's funny because my wife should always play and say, when you send our kids to therapy, you'll be the reason why we send our kids to therapy, right? Because for me growing up, my mom, she was always pretty much straightforward about certain topics and conversations. And I try to do that with my kids to a certain extent based on what age they are. What is true is like you never know what your kids are going to internalize, what's going to be a core memory for them, and what may scar them or not scar them as they get into an adult. Because I remember I was speaking to my brother-in-law about a certain topic. I shared it with my wife because he was talking to her about the same thing. And my wife says something to me. She's like, you see why I do or don't do certain things, right? And it made perfect sense to me. And always go back to when she was a child. So you never know what your child may be paying close attention to, but they're not paying close attention to. Anytime we talk about race in our household, our youngest, he will assume we're being racist. And I never understood what he meant. I thought he was joking until my wife asked him one day, what do you think that means? Is whenever you bring up a color or talking about a color for someone, that's what he thought being a racist meant. So she had to break it down to him what an actually racist person is, or what is a racist comment for the most part. That opened my eyes. I was like, okay, now I couldn't say certain things. Anything I say as far as like a color or anything like that, it's, Daddy, you're being racist. And I wasn't being racist. It was like, oh, we're racist. This person, ethnicity, this, that, and the other, then it's racist, right? So that's how he took it, or I guess that's what he deemed it to be. I don't know if he heard something in school, but he just thinks anytime someone mentions a color, they're racist, right? So my wife had to clear that up. So I was like, I really had to be mindful of what I'm saying in front of my kids as far as like, I don't know what they think or don't think something is, right? Because my daughter, she asked my wife something not too long ago, and my wife is trying to ask her, what is your understanding of this certain thing? And she's like, I don't know. So like, until you tell me your perception of it, I can't tell you exactly what it is. So I can help you understand what you're asking me. So I was like, my wife is the brains. I just come over and execute whatever I need to execute. I let her lead in that instance, just because one, she was an educator, so she has a better understanding of how a child may or may not think at certain ages, just because she was a teacher. So me, I always think as far as like, yes, I know they're kids, but the way I was raised, there are certain things that I wasn't spoken to as a child, more as like, okay, this is what this is, and not to beat around the bush type of thing. So like when we have a discussion, I make sure if it's something of a certain topic, we close the door, we're speaking at a good level where they're not going to be able to hear anything, so they're not confused or get a misunderstanding of what's going on.